my thing, but I do like talking about it though. And I think sometimes when I get on here and I discuss these topics, such as cuckolding, so candidly and openly, that you guys are somehow misguided. You get confused in thinking that that's an activity or an interest of mine personally, which it is not. It's not, but it could be though. Like I've said that before, that I could see it playing out in certain aspects of my life. But like at my core, no, right? I do want to answer your question though, as to whether or not I would become a dominatrix. First, before we begin, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I'm reminded of my own father, obviously, my own biological father who raised me, who nurtured me, who loved me, who took care of me, who I actually talk about frequently throughout my videos here and there sometimes, especially as my inspiration, big inspiration just for life in general. But I also talk about my father like in the context of my identification as a submissive baby girl. Now, this is an inside joke here. For those of you guys who have been watching my videos and have been following my vlog very closely, this is only for those who have followed my vlog very closely. I want you guys to drop, let's see, what symbol are we going to use in the comments? All right. Drop, actually, we'll use my dad's age. So he's 81. Drop 81. Drop an 8 and a 1 in the comments. If you are watching this video here today and you saw the video that I made and uploaded on my dad, specifically, right? I actually had a whole entire video dedicated to a fantasy that I had about my dad. If you guys saw that video, drop an 8 and a 1 in the comment section below. This is going to be interesting. I say that because a lot of you guys, unfortunately, was not privy to see that video. In fact, it was removed from my page and my YouTube channel. I'm like, this is a dream. This is a fantasy. But anyway, we're not going to get into that, right? I just thought it was ironic, and I think it's kind of fun to play around with that, considering it's Father's Day. I did speak to my father today. He's like, when are you going to get your ass down here? When you coming down here? My mom had been asking me that for the longest, too, before she actually transitioned May 26th. Of last month. But anyway, so I get that, you know, a lot of you guys are drawn to my channel because I do speak so openly about a variety of topics, and I allow you guys to just be yourself, right? I allow you guys to rest in whatever identity that you ascribe to. This is a sex positive page, a sex positive channel, so I don't cast any judgment here. Although, of course, I do explicitly and very unapologetically embody my own preferences, right? When it comes to dating, when it comes to my own proclivities towards certain sexual activities or lifestyle. For me, it is definitely a lifestyle. And so, yeah, don't be offended, you know, because my preference is my preference, right? Don't be offended by my preference. If anything, I think it should motivate you. It should inspire you to step more into what you are and who you are and what you like, you know, because what you like is what you like. That can't be taken away from you, you know. So let's get into it. Yeah, so yeah, this video really is like just in response to a request that I've received, many requests I've received from people who want me to talk about this. And yes, it's heated. I think it's heated for a number of reasons. Number one, it's getting warmer here in New York. I do have my AC on. I decided to What y'all call it, free ball? I decided to free ball today. Or free flower. I don't know what's the female version of not wearing underwear. But I feel very comfortable and just free in my space right now. Yeah, you guys have asked me to do this because I understand that my video topics, it attracts all different varieties of people. And so with that, I've attracted cuckold men, specifically white cuckold beta men. I've attracted bisexual men, right? I've attracted black cuckold men. I've attracted black beta men. Very seldom do I attract, unfortunately, alpha men. And it's not, I think, more so about attraction. I think it's just about what exists in our society. And before we really get, because we about to get into it, but before I really get into it, let's just do a chant and prayer that this video remains in sync with sound and audio, okay? I mean, in visual, right? Visual and audio, because somehow Facebook has a tendency to disrupt the sync of my video so that my video, the visual aspect and the sound, the audio is out of sync with each other, right? And so y'all can see me talking, but it's not in alignment with what you guys are seeing on camera. You can hear me talking. So let's just hope that it's in sync throughout the duration here. Yeah, and with me attracting all these different types of varieties of people, overwhelmingly my audience is male. Let's just put that out there. Like, I looked at my analytics and it's like 98, 99% male viewers, right? Like men who watch my vlogs, and it's just like, what can I do to get women to watch my vlog? I don't know. I'm just going to be me. Some women do pop up here and there, but yeah, it's mostly men. And you guys are kind of living vicariously through me and talking about various fantasies. And oftentimes I entertain emails that you guys send to me relating to your fantasies, things that you envision yourself doing that you haven't quite fulfilled yet. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to imagine, to put yourself in a place that you would like to be, that brings you satisfaction, that brings you joy, right? And I oftentimes encourage you guys to go out there and just live it, right? And so with that, some of you guys are imagining me. You're imagining me as part of your fantasy, and I'm just like, no, never, ever, okay? And I can say that very confidently, with certainty. Never. It's not going to happen like that. I have no interest in entertaining anyone from any of my platforms in that way, unless I've said this before, you are a particular person. I do have a certain type, and I stand tall and firm on my preference and my type. It is just what it is. That's not going to change. I think somehow you guys think your numerous attempts at emailing me and inboxing me, right, and whatever, you're trying to persuade me. I'm not interested, you guys, And I think some of y'all identify as like masochists, just like myself. And with that, the expression of masochism can look many different ways, right? Some people like humiliation. They like to be embarrassed. They like to be belittled in front of other people. And so you get some kind of pleasure off me kind of berating you, so to speak, publicly in front of other people, to reject you and to put you down and say, no, I'm not interested. Ew, pathetic. Ew, disgusting. But yeah, so let's just be clear. I do identify myself as a submissive. I am, not just because I identify that way. Like, I am a submissive. I know who I am. I've always been a submissive woman. And I think the conflict arises when we are trying to force something that is not a good fit. Right? It doesn't complement who we are. Like we're trying to be with another person, another energy force that is contradictory to what we need, to what we desire, right? All for the sake of what? Just saying that you're with someone? Not me. I can't do it. And that's why I make it very clear, like when I'm on dating sites, that I like dominant men. I like alpha men. And I get it. Like that construct can be understood in many different ways. Right? And so it's just like, then there comes the exchange, the getting to know a person, to try to flesh out what exactly does that mean, what exactly does that look like. And then somehow men think they can acquiesce to my expectations of what I want, what makes me happy. And it's just like, I know what makes me happy. I know what I want. And so I'll put it out there and say to a man, like after, let's say we exchange contact information and we're on the phone and we're talking, I'm like, even like I know so well who I am and what I want that I don't really have to meet a person face to face. Like it can just be on the phone and I can just pick up on the way you relate to me, the way you respond, the way you initiate or don't initiate conversation, the way you don't take initiative. Like I can pick up on all these things to make a determination as to how dominant you are and if you're dominant enough for me. And I've said that to guys who have expressed interest in me and wanting to move forward with a date. And I'm like, you're not it for me. Like we're not compatible. So this is where the issue lies, is that people are trying to force something upon someone that they want, but that person isn't the right person. Right? And so then, okay, you give it a try, right? Like I've been asked this numerous times, like, oh, you're not giving me a chance, just give me a chance. Okay, now give them a chance, right? And then we go on a date, and I still see, like, it's further confirmation, like, you're not it. You're just not it. And when I talk about me not attracting alpha men, I don't think it's so much me not attracting. I think it's just the composition, the makeup of our society, in that men are becoming more emasculated, more effeminized. Just as such that our society on a racial level is becoming more whitewashed deliberately, right? I don't think people see it. Some of us do. You can see how things have shifted in our society. The dynamics between men and women have shifted. The way we express our gender identities definitely has seen a shift in our society. And for me, I just like the old school traditional man. Not a pimp, right? Because some may associate the pimp behavior with old school. And yes, some pimps are old school, yes, right? But no. I like a very self-respecting, respectable, honorable man, right? Pure man. And you can tell how some men, unfortunately, many men have been tainted by this brainwashing in our society, this new form of socialization, where they don't even see it, though. That's the sad part of it. They don't even see how they're becoming more emasculate. Especially in their perceptions of women, their attitudes towards women. And if you dissect and look at the mind of homosexual men, like, there's no judgment here, but it's just putting it on the table and calling it as it is, right? You can notice a pattern, a trend, and attitudes of homosexual men. Whether they say they were born gay or something happened to them along the course of their developmental trajectory that changed, their gender identity and sexual expression, which oftentimes that's the case for a lot of men. something happens, right? There's an adverse childhood experience or developmental experience that changes things for them significantly. Trauma will do that. And so you dissect those minds of those men. The way they look at the world is just different. The way they look at women is different. Their attitudes, the way they interact is different. For valid reasons, perhaps, right? But you can see a similar characteristic of men in our society today. And it's a trend. And for me, not my cup of tea. It's just not, right? And so I think therein lies the problem again. It's just like people are trying to force something that doesn't fit, right? There is not compatibility amongst these entities that are crossing paths with each other. And so here you guys, beta, white, cuckold men, are somehow imagining the possibility of myself, who, yes, of course, at times I may present as a dominant woman. What's dominance, right? Dominance can take the form of just being intelligent, being articulate, being put together, being successful, taking initiative and authority over one's life, right? And you're drawn to that. I get it. I have to break the news. And as I've done many times over, it's like, not my thing, guys. It's not. And I'll say why. Listen, I'll say why, right? I get that for a lot of white beta cuckold men, a lot of white homosexual, bisexual men, or just sexually fluid, right? Men that, yes, they get turned on by being pegged. Like I got a comment on my previous video where I introduced this topic of me becoming a dominatrix. That was yesterday. I made the video. I got a comment, someone saying, "Oh, you're trying out pegging. You're gonna start pegging men." And it's more of a projection. I get it. I get it. It's more of a projection. These are desires that you guys have, right? And you're obviously trying to superimpose that upon me, right? You're projecting your desires onto me and to see if I'm going to bite. And you've done that for the longest here on my channel, my videos. And yes, I'll give a response because I like discourse, all right? I like to engage in conversation, stimulating conversation. So, of course, I'll respond, but I mean, don't you see that I'm a repulsed at that? It's not even that, okay, I'm not interested. Beyond being disinterested in something, I am repulsed, okay? I am completely turned off and disgusted. If I almost feel disrespected, right? So that's on the other end of the spectrum. It's just like, that lets you guys know where I stand when it comes to that. And again, as I preface this video, we all have our tastes. We all have our preferences. It's such a nice day out, y'all. I definitely have to get outside today. It's just beautiful out there. But yeah, like I almost feel offended, when you guys make that comment, those kinds of comments. And I have to be very frank with you guys to let you guys know, like, this is just how I feel. And I get it. You try your hand, right? You try your luck at it, right? And you're just testing the waters to see, like, where I fall, where I stand amongst all of these things that I'm talking about. And then I imagine, like, ew, for a split second when it's put out there, I imagine, like, all right, and the things, I'm going to tell you guys, the things that come to my mind, right, when I think of pegging, for example, I just smell shit. And it's like, for me, it's a debauchery type of act. It's nothing honorable to me about pegging a man. I mean, a white man at that. Like, listen, I have to be honest. See, some of you guys don't like honesty, right? I get it. I feel the energy coming back at me from you guys. You take it very personal. This is how I know. Like, this is the reason why I'm talking about this as we speak. How I know, like, you, first of all, you're not my type. Because I like men, number one, who are confident in who they are. Meaning, who you are. Who you are is not impacted by what I say, right? Because what I say, you know, that's just my opinion. That's my perspective. So you can stand independently and autonomously in your own identity, irrespective of the things I say here. But a lot of you guys, unfortunately, I see it, yo. Like, I've interacted with you guys, and you're so fragile. You're so fragile in who you are. Like, you don't have a solid sense of self. That is the opposite of what I desire in a man. When I tell you I like alpha men, a lot of y'all just, you're not it. And alpha is in respect to your position in society. You're not there, bruh. But again, like, going back to this visualization of pegging, it's like, I imagine the first thing is smell, like just shit, right? And just this disgusting image of a man bent over, just, like, if I'm telling you guys I like a dominant man, do you think a dominant man that I am with will be bent over? No, I will be bent over. His ass not gonna be fucking bent over. But I get it, you guys are into the role reversal, right? And that's your thing, right? And I made a whole video over a year ago where I actually was sitting over there at my bar, and I was talking about the top 100 BDSM fetishes according to FetLife. Now, speaking of FetLife, I came across FetLife. This was many years ago. Because, like, I'm in the lifestyle, right? And actually, that's how I learned about my very first BDSM club, right? Through FetLife. I was invited to an event, and I went out there, and that was for my birthday. I think my 32nd birthday. That was like around the time I moved to New York City in 2014. And I had the time of my life. And at that time, I was dating. I was with someone. But the thing I don't like about FetLife, let me say this. The thing I don't like about FetLife is that a lot of people are drawn there for their own reasons. I get it, right? But for me, it just comes off as this meeting place where people are very uninhibited and they're posting nude pictures and, you know, it's just all about sex. It's hyper focused on sex. It doesn't do it for me. Like, when I tell people, like, I'm a true sapiosexual. Some people, they don't get it. It's like either you are something or you're not, and you resonate with something or you don't, right? When I say that, then it's like you have men trying to overcompensate, and they'll try to stimulate conversations that they think are intellectual, you know, and that can turn me on. And they're like, oh, what's the last book you read? It's like very superficial stuff. It's not organic, you know, and we just don't connect in that way. And so, like, of course, I've been on and off FetLife, just there. Why am I there? I don't know. Because, like I said, the culture and the tone of FetLife is just people on there really for sex and for hookups. And that's not my thing. For me, it's about the psychological connection. That supersedes everything. If I can establish that connection and a person can be sophisticated enough to make that psychological connection with me, and I ain't saying it's easy. With the mind I have, I'm not saying it's easy, right? Because I'm so unique in my disposition as a woman. So it takes a special kind of man to do that, right? It's like they come very few far between. But yeah, it has to start with that, and oftentimes it doesn't. It's just we're not able to nurture that true psychological, emotional connection. And so, yeah, it's like, fuck this shit. I can't. And I'm turned off. I'm just turned off by the pictures. I may come across a guy's profile and he identifies himself as a master or dom on the website FetLife. And then I'm looking through his pictures and I see a nude. I'm turned off. Why? Because I feel like if you have any kind of self-respect, right? Like, leave something up to my imagination. If I see your penis off rip, what do I have to look forward to? There's no mystery. There's nothing tantalizing to me about that. I don't know why men think it is. I tell men, even I made a post on my Facebook, like, send a woman dick pic? No, send her. Make it to be more semi-nude, right? I think semi-nude is more attractive to women because it's more mysterious. It's like it's a tease, That's what I like. You just got your dick hanging out, hairy, whatever the fuck. How you have your manscaped down there, and it's just like, you think that shit is sexy, especially when it comes a dime a dozen, as I made in response to someone who commented on my freaking video. Well, he commented like 6 months ago, right? To say that you're a narcissist. You're going to be single the rest of your life. You're going to be alone. I think that's I'm like, yo, my response, I had just seen the comment like yesterday that he made 6 months ago. And I'm just like, yo, men come a dime a dozen. Just like y'all freaking straggly ass dick pics. And anything that comes a dime a dozen decreases itself in value, right? Now, we ain't about to listen. I know some of y'all got some really fragile egos, but we're objectively speaking about these things, right? My channel, my page is for mature audiences. People, first of all, I always say, like, before you jump into my videos, please have an understanding of who you are. Know yourself, right? Look at yourself in the mirror, figuratively speaking. So that things that I say, even if you are triggered, it's not alarming because you know yourself. You know your flaws. You know everything about yourself, your strengths, The issue then comes when people don't quite know themselves. And I'm calling you out to yourself and boom, triggered, right? I'm on your street, I'm all up in your underwear, So yeah, that's that. I'm not turned on by that in any sense of the word. And so, you guys with this imagination of trying to persuade a person that is not drawn to what you're drawn to, right? We're not compatible. And I look at the faces of men that I've dated, and it's just like, it's ever clear that they aren't the one. They're not my type, in the sense that when I express that we're not compatible, I try to say it in the very nicest way. Trying to save their feelings, right? Spare their feelings, but clearly they lack self-esteem, which further makes me feel repulsed towards them. Because this is how I know, like, any man that is confident in who he is, right? Like, if a woman tells you, you know what? We're not compatible. Like, you're not my type. You're a good person, but not for me. Just let it go. Let it, Now, I get there are men who are very persistent. And they keep trying. But I feel like at some point, if you are a self-respecting man with dignity, there's no way you're going to keep trying to, like, why are you wasting your time? Time is the most precious commodity. We all know that. You really know that when your ass come close to death, whether through yourself, where you face death, or you see it vicariously through someone else that you love, right? Then it comes to the realization, like, oh, wow, like, time is such a precious thing. Don't waste your time. Yes, you can be very persistent at something that you want, right? And that's characteristic of alpha male energy. They go after what they want. They're going to get what they want, right? But if it's not, you're not vibing with that person, and that person is clearly telling you, and you can see that there's, without question, without shadow of a doubt, that that woman is not interested, go on about your way. You see, you come off as very desperate, which a lot of you beta white men, cuckold men, you're coming off as very desperate. Like you're just dying to be fucked in the ass. These are the same men who watch my videos, my cuckold videos, and I made the video very blatantly to say the real reason why white cuckold men are drawn to this lifestyle of cuckolding, and you want to get a black bull to fuck your wife, this is a backdoor approach. Go watch the video. It went viral. The real reason why white men become cuckolds. And some of y'all were such in denial about it. And it's just like, yo, it's so clear. These are the same men. Y'all coming at me talking about pegging. You want to be fucked in the ass. And I get it. A lot of y'all white men, you're still under that brainwashing of society that there's a right type of man, there's a wrong type of man, right? And the right type of man is heterosexual. Like, listen, stand tall in your identity. If your ass is bisexual, transsexual, whatever the hell sexual you are, just be that, right? But you're trying to acquiesce and live up to the false expectations of society, who is telling you that you should not be who you naturally are, two-spirited or whatever may have you, right? So you find that it's safer to be with a woman who can peg you in the ass than just get the real thing. Why would you want a woman to put on a strap on and have your ass bent over, a plastic, rubber, whatever the fuck, silicone, and fuck you in the ass, when you can just get the real flesh, warm dick from a man? Get it from the real thing. But maybe you're just trying to slowly step your way into that. I get it, right? It's a process. You got to start somewhere. So you're slowly testing the waters. I get a lot of emails from you guys who ask me to make a video or even write a guidebook on ways that people can learn about, like, how to step into their identity, right? And how that manifests itself in interpersonal relationships, and the do's and the don'ts, and just tips and tricks. You guys want me to pour that out into you. I have no problem doing that. You know, some of you guys have reached out to me and asked for private coaching. I'm with that too, but my time is very valuable. And yes, again, I make these videos because it's a hobby. I like to do this. This is what I enjoy doing. But when it comes to a personal coaching session, that's much different. Now, I talked about in my introduction video that I made yesterday to this topic that, yes, dominance and submission are on the spectrum. And so is sadomasochism. So even though, yes, I identify myself as a submissive baby girl, and I am a masochist, where I derive pleasure from physical pain more so than anything, I talk about the dance. There's a beautiful, majestic dance in this dynamic. And I'm going to say between a man and a woman because I am heterosexual, right? Well, we know that it could take the form of many different combinations. But I'm speaking for my personal sake in terms of a man and a woman. And I myself, like I've said, we talk about submission, right? And where the power truly lies when it comes to submission. And any real master, I've said this, any real master knows that the real power really lies within the submissive woman. She relinquishes that power. Me, like, as a submissive, we get turned on, we get pleasure. It's a power exchange. Let's start here, right? Because I think sometimes when people they hear, oh, you're submissive, they just think fucking sex. Like their mind is so fucking narrow. They can't think like anything beyond that. But it's very intricate. Sex is a tool by which a person can experience that power exchange. It's only one tool though. There are many ways that power exchange can manifest. And one of my favorite movies is 50 Shades of Grey, right? And I know some people talk shit about 50 Shades of Grey. One person recently said that they didn't like it because they thought it was more explicit, sexually explicit than what we saw. But like, this is a movie. If you're looking for that level beyond sexual, beyond that level of sexual exploitation, then you should just watch porn, right? But it also it keyed into my mind to see how like shallow that person is, though. How shallow is like, that's a further confirmation. This motherfucker's not really my type. I think that people fail to understand that the real treasure is definitely in the psycho-spiritual aspect, right, of dominance and submission. And then once that has been attained and mastered, achieved, right, like the sex is just icing on the cake. But that connection has to be made first. And sex, as I said, is a tool. So when you take, for example, look at this mainstream movie, 50 Shades of Grey, and that series here that we see, 1, 2, and 3, like there are many ways that the power exchange was brought about. Many different ways, right? There's so many different ways. And I think, obviously, it starts with the conversation. It starts with communication. That is the turn on. It's the power exchange. And how does that power exchange happen? It's not about being disrespectful, right? Because you'll have men that are so shallow and they resort to, all right, name calling. All right, you bitch. You slut. Is that true power? No. Why a child can call an adult a slut? Is he more powerful than that adult? No. Is that a way to take someone's power? No. Although that is a fetish, I get it. Some women actually, or some submissives, they like name calling, right? But if myself, as a woman, has already made it clear that, hey, respect is number one in my book. Like the basic norms of just relating to a person, that doesn't go out the window just because I partake in this lifestyle, right? And identify myself as a submissive and a masochist. They don't go out the window. The basic values of interpersonal connection, right? Just respect. Come on, that doesn't go out the window. I still need to be respected, to be appreciated and valued. That's number one. That's a foundation that has to already be there and already be established. And then beyond that, right, we can move to creating a sense of safety and security. That's foundational. before we can reach another level of intimacy, right? I think that it is a very delicate dance, though. And one has to be very calculated in the things and the steps that they make. And through that, I think, like, that's why you have to master yourself, right? True masters know themselves in and out, through and through. And then you can thoroughly master someone else. I mean, true masters have self-discipline. You don't learn that self-discipline through your partner, which I gave the example of what happened in my last dating relationship that was very brief, very short-lived, but did serve its purpose for what it was. But he was trying to kind of learn discipline and to show to himself, he's not really showing it to me, but show to himself that he could be sexually disciplined. No, baby, you already got to come into it. And you already got to be a well-made package. Because I am. I'm ready. Born ready. Right? Not I'm saying I'm perfect, but my shit is together. So anything I'm asking, I can deliver. I'm with it. But he like, we all have obviously some developing to do, some learning to do. So having to prove to himself, which is a part of his own learning process, that he can be sexually disciplined, which he clearly lacked. So I already, people, come on. Yo, I study human behavior. I study behavior. I study people. I saw that head on before we even met face to face. You lack self-discipline. There's no way you can master me. You cannot. I'm going to beat you at this game here. I'm a mastermind over you. He was trying to learn that, again, like I say, through me, and trying to withhold sex that he desperately wanted. But he was doing that to prove, not to me. You can't prove shit to me. You're doing this to yourself. Because clearly you lack that. I asked him, like, when was the last time you had sex? When we first met, he said, like, a couple weeks ago. You don't have discipline. You don't even have self-respect to know. And I'm about to go and intertwine this with this topic here we're talking about. That for a person, if you truly have self-respect and you truly value yourself, then you know how important sacral sexual energy is. That's not something you just hand out like Skittles indiscriminately to anyone. It's just not. But you don't even know the risk that you're taking in exchanging with random souls. You're entering into these sacral sexual contracts with different people. And then you want to come across a real true goddess as myself and think that I am going to open up my portal to you. You have another thing coming. It's not going to go down like that. So again, I say that I get offended when white men approach me on these platforms, somehow thinking that I have an interest in engaging in something that, for me, it goes against what I stand for. It goes against what I embody, what I believe in. There is no way in heaven or fucking hell. I don't feel that you guys are deserving. You're just not. Are you kidding me? Like, y'all ass don't even value, like I said, you don't even respect your own freaking temples. It's not really a temple. It's just a fucking, what is it? What is your body, right? That you allow random people to enter and release into your anus. And then I'm just another object you come across on a platform. And you want me to partake in this. If you only knew how disgusted from the inside out it makes me feel. It's disgusting. I'm like, have some self-respect. For me, it has been over 2 years since I actually had intercourse with a person. January 2021. I can go years without having sex. I have been years without having sex. Even in the context of a relationship where we cohabitated together, right? You talking about discipline. Because for me, it's never about the sex, yo. Sex is just, yes, it can be a means to an end, but it's never about the sex. Sex is mental. Have you ever had an orgasm without having intercourse? If you haven't, this conversation needs to end. You can't even, you ain't even on my level. You're not even on my spiritual rank. You're not. Have you made a woman come? Have you made your partner come without touching them physically? If you can't say yes to that, you're not ready for these kind of conversations. That's the kind of shit I'm into. Let's start there. I've experienced that. I've experienced the orgasm without penetration by a man. It blew my motherfucking mind. Okay? That's the shit I'm into. Let's just be clear here. Not me putting on a strap on, having a man bent over and fucking him with some goddamn plastic, rubber, silicone toy. What the hell do I gain from that? Absolutely nothing. Listen, to each his own. Of course, you gain something from it as the man receiving that, but I gain nothing from that. I couldn't ever see myself in that type of position. Ever. Okay? Gets asked this over and over and over and over again. Are you a dominatrix? No, I'm not. I have no interest in that. There's no benefit. I know that there are black women who do this professionally. I've seen them. They come to my page. They have their own YouTube channel and following. They've commented and they admire me, right? And maybe I look like them. Maybe how I dress, maybe my demeanor and all this. But no, it's not my thing. I go back to compatibility and how silly it looks when men pose themselves as dominant and alpha, right? To gain my interest and to get a date with me. And I already see it from the beginning before we even go on the date. Like, your energy is not bringing. It's not giving, bruh. It's not. Don't be mad, though. Why are you mad at me? Just know that I spot something in you that you don't have that I desire. Okay? And move on. And vice versa, right? You may see something in me that you don't like. Okay. I don't feel any kind of way because I know who I am. And I have that confidence. And it's always going to be there. Some people hate it, though. I get it. And I've said this before. Listen, if your confidence ain't on 10 and you're around me, you're going to feel very shitty on the inside. Brushing up against my energy. You're going to hate me, probably, if anything. You're going to be like the guy who was like, oh, you're a narcissist. It's not narcissism, baby. This is confidence. And your low self-esteem having ass can't hold that space with me. You just can't. You're going to feel a certain kind of way. I know what it's like when I'm in the presence of an alpha man, a dominant man, It's almost like words don't even have to be exchanged. It's the energy that's exchanged. And I think a lot of men, they try to fake it. This degree of dominance, like I said, to get my interest, to get that date. And it's like, nah, you ain't that. Sorry, you ain't that. And I think what it is, like I said, because everything is on a spectrum, and I know I hold a degree of dominance, and even sadistic qualities, where I've said that I can be in a position of submission towards a man, and I can be in a masochistic stance. But it's a dance where sometimes I like to see that power taken away from a man, just to see what he does with it, just see how he responds. This is all part of it. It's a test men. And I was talking to this one man, not dating, but I was talking to this one man, like, from the dating app, by phone. We never met. This was actually just recently, in the past week. He's disgusting. Yo, men be disgusted at my ass, yo. Listen, the thing about me, one thing that you could take away from my ass is that I'm going to give your ass something to work on. I'm going to make you a better man. That's one thing. So that's why I prefer men that's well put together. I'm talking about, and I give examples too of these kind of men, right? Not that they're perfect. These men ain't perfect, but there are certain qualities in a person that I like, right? So it's not that, oh, this person that I'm about to name is perfect altogether and he doesn't have any. Of course, everyone has flaws, but he embodies some qualities. Baby, if he was to call me, I just would have to show up, right? And it's almost impossible. I would say, I don't think it's any other man that can have me do that can get my attention like that. But I definitely believe if this person was to call me, it would be on site, straight up. And that's Dr. Umar Johnson. I've been saying that shit for the longest, y'all. I've been saying that shit for the longest, but I say this because it's true. Like, he is a natural born leader, okay? This man is straight alpha. And what makes him that is because I just like that. I just like that activist spirit in him, that fighter spirit, like willing to sacrifice, put your life on the line for the entire Black community, right? In America and abroad. You know, it's just like he is unapologetic, that fierce, that's a real lion, right? And he's about that shit. Now, the shit that I think obviously is a drawback with him is that, yes, he has, I think, 2 children, girls. One is an adult, and I think the other one's like 10 years younger, by 2 different women that he's never married. And so it's just like, what's going on there kind of thing. Like, what, you know, but he's saying he attributes it to him being young. I think he said he was like in his, 20s or whatever. He's in his 40s now. He was like, oh, I was in my 20s, whatever, right? But still, I mean, even beyond that, it's just like, yo, why you ain't got your wife? And I get it. It can be difficult. It can be very difficult finding that life partner. And it's very comforting, I think, just to be single and alone. Why I'm still single, right? Because, you know, when you have been single for an extended, I think the longer you're single, the harder it can be. Because you get so comfortable and very complacent in that singlehood. That becomes your new norm. That becomes your comfort zone. Anything outside of that is like, yo, you as a person, potential partner, you gotta come with something that far supersedes what I've created, because I've created a sanctuary for myself, right? I am independent and have done this for months and years on end with this degree of solitude, of peace, being alone. So it's almost like whatever you bring, it gotta compete. And oftentimes it cannot compete with what I've already established for myself. So I get why he's single. It's just like he's living the life. He's good being a single man. And what does it look like to be married if things were to change for him, right? what would that look like? Would it just look like what it had happened before, you know, with the potential person that he was dating that turned out to be a freaking conscious scam, conscious stripper scam, right? It was a setup that he felt like he got setting up, because it's like, okay, they had some exchanges, they had sex, they met up at, you know, a hotel, whatever, and then shit hit the fan, I guess, when she didn't get what she wanted. And that usually happens in relationships. A person doesn't get what they want, then they use that against the other person. And for him, it can cost a lot because he's invested so much into his brand, right? So I definitely understand it from that. I get it. I understand him wholeheartedly. I get the whole thing, and the risk. But yeah, that's an example of a person, you know, because it's the energy, and I definitely would love to preserve his bloodline. I would love to preserve that energy that he carries, you know, that he embodies. It's just that energy, you know. So hell yeah, I would definitely procreate with that. On site, okay? On fucking site. But anybody else, I don't see any man deserving. And I've given different men opportunities and tries. I'm like, even after me seeing that a particular man just ain't got it, right? I'll still play around with it just for shits and giggles. I was like, okay, let's just do this. Go on a date just for shits and something to fucking do, right? I'm not afraid, you know. That's the thing. I'm very adventurous, so I can go on a date with whomever, you know. That doesn't mean anything though. So that's just how it boils down to it. And going back to the interracial component and with you guys' fantasy, it's just like, I don't want to be offensive, although I get it that some of you white men take offense when I speak in this way, to say that I gave the example of me walking into a room where white people have been speaking, and there is a stench. There's a stench that I smell. It's very distinct. Listen. And it's a turnoff to me. So if I'm bothered by that, and people may listen to that and say, oh, you just being, that's petty. But I don't notice it in any other room I walk into. When I say room, I mean enclosed space. It can be a train with white people talking. It can be just a room, an event. I smell that smell. I don't smell that nowhere else in any other social setting, right? With other races, it's just white people. So if I'm like, it disturbs my whole being when I smell that, right? And I know like somebody saw this, and this person, like, he was the same person, of course, he was watching my videos, supporting my videos and all of this, is a white man. And he was trying to shoot his shot at me and shit like that. But then he heard me say that, then he came back with, you know, trying to be offensive, right? Saying like racial jokes, or like, I don't care. Y'all have to, like, listen, I have very thick skin, okay? I don't care. Because I know that's just your opinion. I know you're hurt. I get it. You're hurt. I didn't say it to hurt you, but you got hurt by what I said, right? I don't take back what I said. What I said is truth. It's scientific, okay? It's something different in y'all DNA, in your biological makeup, that gives off this smell. And it's something I detect. And I ask other people, other black people, do you smell this shit that I smell? And somebody laughed, but I think this is the thing. Black people, y'all be dancing around, tiptoeing around white people to not offend. I get it. Right? You want to save face. But it's just like, no, why compromise? Why compromise the truth? The truth is, listen, if that's your experience, that's your experience. I have to put it out there. Listen, it's something else. It is what it is. But yeah, I laugh because the racial joke that the white person came back with, he was like, yeah, and that's the reason why black women, y'all wear cocoa butter, because y'all want to cover up that stinky jungle smell. I laugh because, listen, what you eat don't make me shit, baby. I can care less. Listen, that's the thing. When a person knows when you know who you are, that shit like unbothered. If anything, I'm laughing at your ass. It's funny. I'm unbothered because I know who I am. Baby, I know I'm a goddess. There's nothing your ass can say. Nothing that you can say that can shake me. This is who I am at my core. I do like to entertain, as I said, I'm about to wrap this video up, but I do like to entertain like these discussions with exploring my attitudes, right? On lifestyle, alternative lifestyle choices that we make. And we all have different tastes, different kinks that we're interested in, you know. For me, I like the bondage. It's been a long time, though, since I've actually been in bondage. Again, it's a sacred thing for me. It's not something that you just do with any fucking body, you know. In my previous video, I talk about how, like, I cast spells upon myself, upon my spirit, my energy, my body, in such a way that it ain't going down. It's not going to happen. That's my video I made about being 39, single with no kids, right? And how that's very deliberate. It's not going. A man cannot impregnate me unless that man is right. You listen. Your bloodline gotta be right. Your spirit gotta be right. If it ain't, I don't care how many. You can shoot all the semen you want to up in me. It's not gonna happen. And I think it's not just me. Like, you guys may hear me talk so confidently, and then that's where the guy says, "Oh, you're narcissistic." Listen, that's just me knowing, right? When I talk about me knowing my power, my spiritual gifts very confidently, that's because I know. If you knew, then you would be expressing the same thing. It doesn't just apply to me only. It applies to anybody, right? That applies to any woman. It ain't going down. You got men that try so very hard and put much effort in trying to impregnate a woman. Listen, her body is not going to accept it. Her body reject. As like I said, it's the woman's egg that chooses the sperm. When it's meant to be, it will be. And the same thing when it comes to sex. Ain't no man, listen, you ain't going to get that pleasure of sticking your penis inside of me. It's not going to happen. He could, if I wanted to. And not sometimes even if I wanted to, because it has to be in agreement with the deities that govern my body and my spirit. If they say no, then listen, it ain't going down. Dick hard or not, it ain't going down. I do kind of sometimes I take joy in seeing, and I'll tell you why I take joy in seeing men who are face to face with themselves, and that reaction that they give sometimes is shock, disbelief, confusion. They may take offense, because then that's where their awakening happens. It's like that's when the lesson happens. And I had that happen recently with this guy where we had exchanged contact information, and I don't know what y'all be thinking. Like, I be trying to wrap my mind around here. Right? He had this idea that somehow I was going to go and visit him at his place first, and then we're going to date. I'm like, right? And like, who the hell told you? But in his mind. And I think what it is that men, you guys probably watching me, you listen to me talk, and so then you think, okay, she's one of them. You can never put me in any kind of box, baby. I'm so versatile. And the way I move is so unpredictable. You just don't know. But I get it. It's like you'll listen to me, you talk about certain things in certain ways, and you think that you can put a finger on me. So I think that's what it was. Is like he heard me talk about my experience with this other person and how things played out, right? That, went to his house, then we went out to eat. So he tried the same shit. Baby, you not him though. Like, let me work with him, but you not him. In fact, this guy I gotta wrap this shit up. I gotta wrap it up. But this guy here, honestly, on a scale from 1 to 10, I probably would give him he may get like a 5.5, if that. I'll probably give him 5.75, right? He wasn't really all, that. You know what I'm saying? He had like the kind of bugged eyes, lighter skin. For me, I like my men dark. And I said that, listen, I had made a vow to myself. I think just today, I had like this epiphany. I'm like, you know what? The kind of man that I want to preserve his bloodline, whose bloodline I want to preserve, he got to be chocolate, dark chocolate, okay? I'm talking about deep out of Africa chocolate, purple, black, blue, purple chocolate. Because that comes with a certain level of healthiness when it comes to DNA. People got all these things about what they want in a partner and what the partner got to come with. Just be superfluous bullshit, right? Like, man, you got to cook. And like, okay, those things may be important. But listen, when you got money, you can hire a whole maid. You can hire a whole chef. That's my plan any freaking way, right? So I don't engage myself in redundant conversations with men like that. But yeah, let's talk about what's real. Let's talk about, when we talk about procreation, we're talking about preserving bloodlines. That, at the end of the day, it ain't really about us. Procreation is really not about the people who are procreating, okay? It's about what comes through our loins, through our womb, through your semen that you're passing on to mix with another person's bloodline. And this is deliberate choice that you know that you're not going to be here. At some point, you're going to die. You're going to transition, let's say, right? But what you created will. And that's a deliberate choice. So, for men, white men who somehow think that they got a shot, and I'm going to preserve your weakened bloodline, your GMO. I mean, granted, even black people, you're looking at a black person, we're all GMO, right? My bloodline has so much shit in it. My mom's father, biological father, Native American, Cherokee, legit. When you look at my features, that's what you're seeing. From my maternal side, her biological father. Even on my dad's side, biological mother, same, Native American. They have this in their bloodline. A lot of bloodlines carry diseases and shit. And you wonder why, like, your ass got ailments and all these things. Because this is just the bloodline freaking manifesting itself. But going back to the pure organic motherland bloodline, that's deep out of Africa, yo. Those people be so healthy. Look at their teeth, white as snow, skin dark, chocolate, purple, blue. They rarely get sick. Just very healthy people. That's what I want to procreate with. And it ain't always got to be deep out of Africa. It can be deep out of the Caribbean too. That's the shit. Not these white. We have been freaking brainwashed and conditioned to think that the white is right. And things have been topsy-turvy in our society. Obviously, is strategically designed this way so that white people are the socio-economic top of the ladder, right? Nah. Look at the bloodline. It's all about the bloodline. That's what people should be choosing their mate on. What is your bloodline like, right? What kind of shit you got? The traumas. Looking at a genogram. What are some patterns that are passed down intergenerationally? That's what we should be looking at. But I gotta wrap this video up. I think it's fun to talk about, like, it's fun the idea of imagining, like, you know, interracial couples and things that kind of violate the social norms. That's very fun to talk about, to imagine. And I'll get on here and I'll tease you guys sometimes just to get a reaction. All of this shit is just for entertainment. Oftentimes, you know, all of it, but, you know, much of what you see sometimes, especially with the videos, my videos that have gone viral, entertainment. It's just entertainment. Really nothing more and nothing less. Could be educational too. So it's fun for you guys to be entertained by that idea of a black man fucking your wife, you know, and then you possibly being able to get a piece of that too, piece of that action. I get it. You know, like I said, we only got one life to live it. Who's stopping you? Don't let me stop you. I'm not going to be the one, you know. I'm going to live my life, I can tell you that, and I'm going to get what I need to get out of any situation. So it could be a part 3 to this video. Actually, I would say, like, that the first one was the introduction that I made yesterday. This is more like the first part. So let's say a part 2 to this. We'll see. Based on you guys' comments, feel free. Oftentimes you guys ask me, like, how can you reach me? I don't feel a need to tell you guys my email address. I feel like, listen, if you know, you know. If you really want to reach me, it's there. It's not a mystery. I'm not even hiding. I'm not playing hide and seek with you guys, right? Like, it's there. I think some of y'all just be wanting to comment just to comment to get a reaction, and I ain't got time for that, you know? If you want to reach me, my contact information is on every last one of my videos, right? I have a whole website that's named after me. My first and last name, Danielle Leach, right? So there you have it. That's how you can reach me. A lot of you guys be having questions that you want to ask me personally. Honestly, I don't really engage in, like, private one-on-one conversation. I don't do that, you know. Why should I entertain that? I don't do that on Facebook. I don't do it in my email, my personal, like, I don't do that. What am I gaining from that, right? A lot of y'all just want to just ask questions and go back. I'm not doing that. However, if you have a video topic suggestion that you would like for me to entertain, then send it to me. I will reply on ways that you will be able to get your needs met, right, in that situation. Having me talk about these different things that you take interest in, right? I will let you know how I can book your spot. And it's just up to you. Listen, it's all energy exchange, so it's up to you to make that decision and how you want to proceed moving forward. But with that being said, thank you guys. Thank you guys for this topic suggestion. Thank you guys for tuning into my video, my channel. Feel free to share this video as you may. And there's much more where that came from. So, yeah, there's much more where that came from. I know that I did want to add, though, and I've said this before, like, speaking of smells, right? I went to, I think the theater, not Paris Theater. It's a different theater. They're very nice in New York. Can't think of the name of it right now. But they showed a screening of, like, the first Black Panther. And I'm sitting there, and then there's this, like, homosexual couple, 2 men that came and sat next to me, right? I don't have anything against gay people, but listen, I have a lot against just out-of-pocket behavior. Classless behavior. That's what I have an issue with. And so they sit next to me. It was the middle of the summer. I think was it last summer? I don't know. But they sit next to me, all flamboyant and wearing like these biker shorts. Like they had just finished like a marathon or something, right? And tank top. They were smelly, right? But what really stood out was like, I knew that this motherfucker wasn't wearing no goddamn underwear. On top of that, I knew they had just finished fucking. It smelled like ass, okay? And it's sitting next to me. And it's like, hi, you nice. How are you doing? Listen, you wrong. You out of pocket. So y'all motherfuckers on here think that I would be interested in smelling your stank motherfucking ass through pegging. You got me fucked up. That's what you got me, okay? That shit is disgusting, to say the least. I have to nail the fucking shit in the wall with this, okay? Because I don't think y'all get it. I don't think that's disgusting. Y'all do what y'all do. There are women I know that like it. And that goes also relating to like oral sex, right? Like, and some men don't get like, you don't give oral sex? Oh my gosh, that's a deal breaker. Okay, deal broken. Let's move on. Deal broken. Alright? But I think men are so used to a certain kind of woman. Because women can pose themselves as very desperate. Listen, I'm not one of them. When I tell you, I got some unimaginable discipline when it comes to myself. I have an unimaginable restraint, That's like my mind is very strong when it comes to a lot of things. And so I think men are used to dealing with a certain kind of woman that they acquiesce, they give in, and like, okay, well, like I'll do it. Like, now when I tell you, like, I'm not sucking no dick, I don't need no head from you. I'm not giving no head, and men be like, oh well, that's a deal breaker. I don't know if we can move forward. Okay, bye-bye. And they look shocked, like, like, no, it's not up for a debate. There's no bargaining. I'm not bargaining that. Like, I have what I like, and either a man is compatible with that, because I know there are. Listen, I've come across it. I've come across, like, read my story, Dying to Submit. It's a snippet, actually, of a book where I post excerpts on my website, right? And I talk about it from a fictional kind of fantasy perspective, but through my own autobiographical lens. An actual story that I lived back in 2014 when I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was a master, true form master, who introduced me physically, right, in the physical realm of reality, to this lifestyle experience of dominance and submission and that power exchange and what it's like to be a baby girl, right? And we did not have physical intercourse. It was all psychological. Now, granted, I saw his peen. Granted, he felt his fingers, not even his fingers, but his mind too, felt my flower and the wetness therein, right? But you talking about when I if only I can relive that. And they say some things we only get to experience one time. I was like, God damn. There's nothing like the first time, of course, either. But God damn, I use that as a template. I can only reference that experience because it was just ideal in every sense of the word. And seeing how much discipline, it's like he didn't even need to have sex at all. Intercourse, that is, right? Because he was so disciplined in his being, and he was such a master skillfully at what he did. Not that he had to prove his discipline to me. He came with that into the relationship, right? But then, the caveat to that, which I later found out, dude was a whole fucking husband out here in these streets. Dude was a whole husband out here in these streets. So, of course, I guess he could be able to have that level of discipline. But I think apart from that, I think he just inherently had that level of discipline too, husband or not. I think that, with me finding out, the ring imprint on his finger, and I question him about that. And that really shifted our dynamic, because up until then he was in control and I would allow him to be that way. And the whole dance of, you know, establishing trust with each other, it was just like he was with it. He was all in, emotionally available. And I think that's where a lot of men miss it, because they lack that degree of emotional availability, psychological emotional availability. Like, they're not completely there, right? And so, but they're expecting that in return, and you only can get out of something what you put into it. So if you have step in something, it's not going to manifest itself and come to fruition as you want it to. It's just not. But we'll continue this conversation at another time. Thank you guys for tuning in, and share this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.